Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel and welcome to Mizuno Pro 243 iron review. The full review where I do the forgiveness testing, I will whack it all over the face and see how well it does. That'll be the second half of the video. The 243 sits in between the 241, which is the full-on blade, the 245, which is the hollow-bodied, player's distance, tungsten filled, lovely that it is, and the 243. The 243 you can blend really well with either or the 241 or the 245 because it sits right in the middle with lofting and technology and size and everything. More on that in a second. Technology within the 243. There is tech, you can't see it because of the badge at the back, but there is technology inside. The main thing is the micro slot. The micro slot, very, very similar to that of the JPX 923 Forge, sits in there and it helps increase launch and it helps increase ball speed. Now in the 4 and 5 iron where you need the most help, it's its longest and widest. When you go into the 7 and 6 iron, we don't quite need so much help. It is still there, but it's not quite so long and not quite so wide. And then the 8 iron downwards, where you don't really need the help with launch because of the fact you've got plenty of loft, it goes completely. Now in the 4 to 7 iron, I've got the 7 iron here in the fitting head, which allows me to keep the shaft exactly the same on all the tests. That's the Project X 6.0 if anyone really cares. But the chromoly changes from the 4120 that it is in the 7 to 4 iron. It disappears from 8 iron all the way down. It then goes to the Grainflow Forge 1025E that we know and love from the blades. We have got the copper underlay. All of these have got the copper underlay. They've kept the copper underlay now since MP20, and the 22 series had it, and the 24 series have got the copper underlay. The copper underlay is just there to change the acoustics, makes it sound softer, feel nicer. Nothing feels like a Mizuno kind of idea. They've changed the lofts very, very slightly when it comes to the lower end of the bag, and the bounce has got fractionally more throughout the set now. Okay, they've changed it marginally, but it is a marginal change. Talking about marginal change, the people at Mizuno have been saying one of the marketing things is the fact that it's becoming more compact now in the 2.4 series, the 2.2 series. Now, I know some people are saying that they don't want them more compact. If you look at the specifications on them, guys, it is so ridiculously small. I think it's like a millimeter in head length between. It is so small. Like if you were going to put, I know I'll be doing proper 2.2 series against 2.4 series comparisons in the future, so make sure you get subscribed down there, bell on, all that lot, so you don't miss them. You can't really tell the difference, guys. It is so tiny. It's like 76 millimeters this head, and 1 millimeter makes no difference whatsoever. It is a full satin brush finish, no chrome or anything on this one. And so let's go get it on a hole. Let's go see how the 243 gets on. When I hit it into a green, we'll go do that. And before we go and hit it at a few different swing speeds as well, to see how well this golf club works in different golfers' hands. Similar is now on. We are at Crosswater Golf Club, hole 3. It's a par 3 of 162 yards. Now 162 is normally 2 yards or so short of what my normal carry for my 7 iron is, but my 7 iron is 34 degrees and this is 32, so I'll have to swing around about the mid 80s or so to try and get it there. When it comes to swing speed, I'll be doing my full tests after this to see how well the Mizuno Pro 243 gets on from 3 different swing speeds, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour and 90 miles an hour, to encompass as many people as possible to see, and you guys can see how the 243 will possibly work for you. Looks wise quickly though, top line on this one is nice and thin. It's not as thin as 241 and definitely not as thick as 245. It sits in the middle, what it will do, because 241's the blade, 245 is the player's distance iron, and this one is right in the middle. Sole thicknesses are medium and blade lengths are, well, they keep on saying about the fact that it's more compact this year and more compact, but when it comes to it, guys, I will be doing a comparative test between the old 223 and 243, so make sure you get down there, subscribe, so you don't miss that video coming soon. Right, let's go give this one a hit. Offset actually looks quite nice, opposed to the strike, which was horrific. It was terrible, that swing. Not having a great day when it comes to swing and strike. 6mm hill, 8mm low, again not great, with a face which was as far open as I would ever normally see. 31 yards in the air, 48 degrees descent angle. Well, if that hit the green, I'm not quite sure it finishes on it. It's just poor though, I must admit. The feel though, considering, is actually pretty good. That's my fault. Everything to do with that last shot is, I mean, okay, we're at 161 yards, I think we finished. Anywhere hitting the green, don't care what handicap you are, if you're hitting a green from 160 yards away, you're doing well. I mean, I think if talking about PGA Tour stats, I think it's 205 yards out. They're 50-50 whether they can hit the green or not. Now, of course, I'm not a PGA Tour star. So when it comes to 160, 170, 180 yard par 3, you hit the green, you're doing well. Every golfer is doing well. So you still take that even though it wasn't your best effort. Let's talk about a best effort. Let's see if we can do a better effort now. Well, I did a better effort with actually delivering a face and path, which is better, but still slightly toey on that one. Again, I'm hitting target and I'm not that far away. Feel-wise is pretty nice. 4mm low, 9mm toe. There you go, a little bit going the other way now, but 34 yards in the air, 49 degrees descent angle, 170 yards total. It's just good. 88 miles an hour, and I'm going to go over the pin now, so I'm going to have to dial the speed down a little bit, but the feel of this thing is much closer to 241 than it is 245. The 243 is in the middle of the classes. You've got 241 being blade and 245 being the player's distance, but this one is much closer to the 241 in how it feels. Now this is chromoly. This is still the 4120, I think it is chromoly. It does go into grain flow forge, but not until later on when you have a bit more loft in your hands. This one also has micro slot. The 8 iron has no micro slot, so the 7 iron is the last one. So this still have all the tech in it, but really, the feel is surprisingly good. It's much closer to 241 than it is 245. Right, let's see if we can give it another go. Let's see if we can hit the green. Oh, that's a very, very poor strike. I'm having a great day today. Not. There you go. Oh. Yeah, I'm just having a bad day with strike. 9mm low, 12mm toe. It's going to be a competition of how poor I can hit a golf ball into a green and it still stop. 30 yards in the air and 47 degrees descent angle. That is still stopping on any green. And you can hit it there. I mean, remember, the Mizuno Pro 243 is not supposed to be the most forgiving thing in the world. It has got technology in there to try and make this thing as forgiving as it can do. Obviously, the micro slot's going to give it ball speed help across the face, especially low on the face. And of course, hitting 9mm low and 12mm toe, that is within the realms of the micro slot, so it is helping get some extra ball speed in there. But remember, this is not JPX. If you need full-on forgiveness, you got the JPX style of thing, even the Forge and the Hot Metal Pro and stuff like that. This thing is a bit more player-like, and I'm not being very player-like today with my strike. It's not the greatest. Right, see if we can do a better job. The answer is no. Sticking to the toe, just a little bit higher that time. At least it was a few mil high rather than 9mm low. There you go, 5mm high, 9mm toe. Having a fun day today with strike. It's just doing well. 33 yards in the air, 48 degrees descent angle. I mean, it's, again, we're talking margins really, but it's just a case of, normally speaking, if you were hitting it like that, you'd be gravitating more towards the 245. The 245 has got the tungsten, and it is, generally speaking, going to be the more forgiving. Although, the more I hit this, I mean, I'm not having a good day at all today when it comes to strike, and it's doing really, really quite well. Much, much better than I would ever consider a club of this nature, player's cavity, to do. Right, one more go at trying to hit a half decent strike and a half decent shot into the green. Bit cut in dynamics, but the strike was much, much better. You can see they're 5mm low, 3mm toe, so much better on the strike. Just a little bit cutty with the dynamics, but 34 yards in the air, 49 degrees descent angle, still stopping as they all have done. Really very, very well. Doesn't matter where you hit it on the face, it seems, on this Mizuno Pro 243. And yes, okay, if you're going to start deviating far, far worse than what I've just done today, having a good down strike, then yes, you would have to go into something like the JPX side of things, because the JPX side of things is going to be much, much more helpful. But it won't give you the same feel. It definitely won't give you the same looks. If you're someone who wants the look of a Mizuno Pro, then yes, there you go. But then if you want someone who wants the looks but with some help, the 241's out of reach completely, but the 243 isn't. Talk about forgiveness, let's go whack it all over the face. Even worse than this, at 3 different speeds as well, to see at what point this 32 degree lofted 7.9, if it becomes non-functional or not. As soon as you start taking speed away, you start taking peak height and descent angle and stuff like that. We'll do it at 3 different speeds, just to see how the Mizuno Pro 243 really gets on. Let's go have a look at how the Mizuno Pro 243 got on at 3 different swing speeds, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, and 90 miles an hour. And I've also going to put up on the screen, if I can in the best way possible, the differences between the 243 and the 245. Now, I've already done the full video review of the 245. Again, you can pop up there if you want to have a look at that one. But there are some distinct differences in characteristics between the 245 and 243, which I've found during testing, which you guys need to be aware of when it comes to fitting, etc. More on that later on. But if we look at the ball and club data for the 243 at the 3 different swing speeds, I'll try and get it all on the screen so it's not too busy. But as you can see on the screen there, you've got the information for the 70 mile an hour, 80 mile an hour, 90 miles an hour ball data at the top, and then the club data at the bottom. You've got a carry 133, 155, and 170. The interesting thing is that they're all launching at 20 degrees. That's no real surprise. Obviously, these are 32 degree lofted 7.9s. Again, we've got the micro slot, which is helping increase in launch, etc. The 7.9 is the last one in the set that has that micro slot, and it's obviously not as big as it is in the 4 and 5, but it's still working well to launch it. Spin rates are 4,200 at 70 miles an hour, 5,000 at 80 miles an hour, and nearly 6,000 at 90 miles an hour. Now, this is the big difference between here and the 245. If you look at the peak height, 22, 30 and 38, you've got the staggered differences of 8 yards, no surprise there. And also descent angles are very, very good at, even at 70 miles an hour, they're 41 degrees, 46 degrees and 50 degrees at 90 miles an hour. So they're doing really well. But the big difference between the 243 and 245 is this spin creation, how it creates spin as speed goes up. And so where the 245 had a more of a linear jump in how the gappings worked, distance wise and also spin wise, there was about 500 or so RPM between each jump in speed. When it comes to the 243, do the exact same thing, and within reason there's 1,000 RPM, which is a lot. So 4.2 to 5,800 RPM, and then between the 80 miles an hour and 90 miles an hour, it goes up by 1,000. And so therefore, when you look at the carry, it goes 133, then add 10 miles an hour, it goes up plus 22 yards to 155, then plus 10 miles an hour again. And rather than jump another 22 yards, or very similar to what it does in the 245, there's more of a linear gapping. In the 243, it goes down to 15. Now, what this does is it opens up the 243. As opposed to the 245, the 243 can be used for higher swing speed golfers. And the difference with that, the 245 being a lower spin profile and smaller jumps between speeds, is the fact that you can quite easily, if you're swinging a 7.9 at 95 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour, and I have fitted quite a few people over my years that swing 7.9s over 100 miles an hour, that the distances on a 7.9 become completely unmanageable, and they're hitting 190, 200 yard 7.9s. And at their skill level, it's very, very difficult to control, especially get down to like the bottom end of the bag, because you end up having a billion wedges or having to do something very, very funky with the lofts. And at their level, they can't control it. Different when you're a PGA Tour guy, because obviously they've got, or girl, they've got different levels of understanding of how to manipulate their swing. They can swing at different speeds, etc., to finite dial in their distances at any distance. But yeah, so this is the interesting thing I found with 243. 243 has a much more of a It has a much more of a bigger jump in spin profile between speeds, which then curtails the distance the faster you go, which is very interesting, actually good for higher swing speed players. Again, you've got all the dynamics down the bottom there when it comes to club head data, 70, 80, 90. You've got all the angle attacks within a degree also. Club pass and face to pass are within a very small amount. And then obviously loft 26.4, 26.3, 26.6. So within 0.3 of a degree of all of them, the data set is such a small amount. And of course, you've got the strike down there to have a look at as well. Again, within reason, very, very close. Right, let's go have a look at how well this thing gets on when you hit it, shall we say, out the screws, to get an idea how well it works. And we'll look at the forgiveness side of things to see when you whack it all over the face, what kind of performance drops do we get when you don't hit the middle. But first we need to understand how it works from the middle. And I've captured one here, so basically path and face to path are fairly good. It's just saying go left a little bit, in which it did 9 yards, but it is 0 mil high, 0 mil toe. It is 26 degrees aloft, and it is basically right out of the screws. So we're looking at 39 yards in the air and 50 degrees descent angle from a 91.5 miles an hour, which is my normal speed of 7 iron. Right, we've got one here, 12 mil hill, 4 mil low. Face is 1.3 closed, which normally would then increase its efficiency, but the loft's within 0.3 of a degree of the maximum. So within reason, a very good capture, 1.33. So if you remember, 1.35 was absolutely out of the screws. You cannot get better than 1.35 right out of the screws for the 243. This one's 1.33, which is 0.02 off of perfect from a 16 millimeters gross off the middle strike and Healy. Again, this has got micro slot, and that micro slot is helping to flex that face and make certain parts of the face much, much more springy. And so therefore, when you hit them in these kind of spots, you kind of get away with it. If I'd have swung it at my normal speed, do you know what? The difference in distance, I don't think I'd even notice no difference whatsoever. 32 yards in the air and 47 degrees descent angle is absolutely functional, even from a miss hit. And even though I dialed my swing speed down by about 5 miles an hour from the perfect. So which is really good. Slightly low heel, this one, 8 mil heel, 5 mil low. Now this is a nominalised miss that I would see as not really being a miss, a single digit miss, but you do miss. And very penal golf clubs can be very penal, even off tiny miss hits as such. Again, this is one short of the blade, the 243, then the 241, but the technology in it had 5 mil low, 8 mil heel, normal miss hit, nothing bad whatsoever, 1.33, losing 0.02, 35 yards in the air, 49 degrees descent angle basically. It's just really very, very good. Slightly low on the face now, really testing out the micro slot. We've got 8 mil low, 1 mil heel. Remember, you haven't got as much room on the face, low on the face at all. But when you look at the balance between if you're going to miss hit something, say 8 mil high to 8 mil low, you can get away all day long with 8 mil low and even more than that. You can't get away with really hardly anything high. Why? Because that would then denote you hitting the ground first. You hit the ground first. Well, okay, the ball's on the tee, you don't have to, but effectively most balls are on the ground when you hit them. And so if you're hitting high on the face, that effectively means you are interacting with the deck before the golf ball, which is massively more influential in a poor hit than the physical part of being slightly high on the face. It's the ground interaction the problem. So don't ever hit high. If you're going to miss, hit heel, toe and low. But 8 mil low, 1.34, it's not losing anything. 0.01 from perfect, 37 yards in the air and nearly 50 degrees descent angle from an 8 mil low. That is very, very good. 10 mil toe, a 1 mil high, we have a 1.34. 38 yards in the air, 50 degrees descent angle. That is a nominal miss, 10 mil toe. It's just in the single digits, and you wouldn't even know that you've done it. I mean, you can feel it. This is the thing. You can feel these different nuances in strike. You know you're not hitting button middle. But when you look at the performance of the golf ball, it literally just does not do anything other than what you wanted it to do, even though you've mishit it. And 38 yards in the air and 50 degrees descent angle is like fractions away from absolute perfect, yet it's not hit perfect. The 243, even though it's one step away from the blade, is a mighty forgiving golf club considering. If you then go 16 mil toe, 5 mil low for a real stretch of the technology, which is 21 millimeters away from middle, gross, and bear in mind these heads are more compact,
okay, by about 1 millimetre, but they're the Mizuno Pro range anyway, so they are not the biggest golf clubs. And so you hit something 16 millimetres away on the toe and then 5 mil low, that is a considerable amount away from the effective sweet spot. And we have dropped to 1.33. That's it. 0.02 from perfect. You have to be aware of one thing though. I delivered around about a 1.5 degrees less loft, so that will impact the numbers. So even if I was to take that away and make it a little bit more fair to the amount of loft that I delivered on the perfect one as a like for like comparison, if you were to take off 0.01, maybe, let's say maybe 0.02 from that to try and take into account the loft delivery, I mean, that's still worst case scenario. That's 0.04 away from perfect, hit from there. Now that is on this golf club, being quite a small golf club relative to a big game improvement iron, that is amazingly like off center. And that is very, very good result. 30 yards in the air and 46 degrees ascent angle, even with a slower swing speed, again 87.9. If I swing up at 91.5 miles an hour like I did to compete with the original maxed out version, that would go even higher and stop even steeper. It's just very, very good. The big difference, I'm going to say, with the conclusion of the 243 over that of what I thought it was going to do is how it separates itself a little bit from the 245. You can blend these, and I can see a lot of people blending them, but beware on this one. I don't want to say beware because that's like a negative connotation where I don't mean to beware. Just know this. When you're doing your fittings, and for the clients, when you're doing your fittings, if you are going to be going 243 and you have a want to go 245 as a blended option, especially in the 4 and 5 iron or 6 iron or something like that, you've got the lofts to contend with. We're only talking about a very small amount, really. The biggest thing is a spin profile difference. Now, this is for me. I'm not saying that this is going to be for everybody. The fact that I'm seeing a double the amount of spin jump between swing speeds from the 243 to 245. It will potentially, if that's the case, it will impact your decisions on what lofting you need to make for your 245 decision. It may or may not work the way you intended it to, especially if the 245s are going to spin even lower than what your 243s will do. So therefore, what you need to make sure is test the 243, absolutely, get your custom fit shaft, no problem, but also test the 245. Get your custom fit shaft, swap the heads over the 245 and see how the 7-iron 245 reacts. If we are seeing a marked reduction in spin for the 245s, when it comes to the lofting for your 245 infill, say like the 4, 5 and 6 iron, say, or the 4 and 5 iron, what you may have to do is add some more loft to try and keep the spin up. If not, what you'll find is the distance gappings when you transition to the 243 to 245 may be too big. So just be aware of that, just so when it comes to your fittings that you just understand how the 243 and 245 work differently for you. Again, if the spin profile for you, because everyone's different, is much closer than the information that I've seen on here, then you may not have to worry about it. But be aware, obviously, if it is a bit more of a separation, that you may, or the fitter, not you, the fitter will have to make the adjustment for that in the correct lofting for the 245 infill. So the looks very, very similar, hasn't really changed much. The microslot has changed, all the technology has changed a little bit, the face thicknesses have changed. All mean that on first initial testing, the 243, even though it's slightly smaller, it's just so forgiving. It's probably as forgiving as 245. Now, of course, 241 is a different thing, but the 243 has got to be bang for your buck wise when it comes to balancing everything for looks, feel, performance, forgiveness, possibly the one that shines the most out of all of the Pro 2-4 series. Hope you liked the video. If you did, thumbs up. Go on YouTube, like so do I. It's great for the channel if you could like it. If you do that, YouTube algorithm loves it. Next, that is a subscribe button. That's a really important button because that's great for the channel. Also, it's free and it's, yeah, just gone down there. Next, that's bell icon. That's notification bell. If you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. I've got loads of other videos coming when it comes to comparisons between this and the old series and this one, and say I230 and many other golf clubs. Get your comments down there. What would you like me to put this up against? Hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.